used to be kids. Now we're not. Something happened in between. This is the Broken Youth Club.
Well, we wanted to try to do the show a little different this week, and we're doing it in the quiet of my truck. It's so funny. We were trying to avoid getting downstairs just because, I don't know, it's like I wanted to change a scenery or something tonight. And so my original idea was we were going to do it out by the fire. Mm-hmm. And then I told Oliver, hey, guard the fire real quick. I'll be right back out. And I came inside to ask you, like, hey, what do you think? You want to try this? Like, I would just do it with my phone. It's not going to be, super awesome audio, but it'll be, legible or audible. And within 2 minutes of walking back outside, Oliver had doused the fire with like a full, probably 2.5 gallons of water.
Yeah, a little miscommunication there.
Just misunderstanding.
But hey, fire safety. All right, we always got that bucket of water right there, and I'll use it.
And then, so I was like, well, it's okay, no big deal. Let's do it out on the porch. And my God, the frogs, there's probably 10 of them going at it right now.
I don't know if it's is it frog mating season right now, or are they just hatching, or
it's all different kinds of sounds all at once for sure.
Yeah, we have these two
I'm
little
used to frogs, but not to that. Seems like it's like they're having a party or something.
Yeah, we have these two very small little man-made little ponds that truly are frog farms or frog ponds.
Like oasis.
Yeah, but it's every spring, man, it is bonkers down there. It is so loud.
It's almost like again, being back from Indiana, frogs and ponds, all that, crickets, that's all super normal, but it reminds me of just how intense cicadas can be when they come to town.
Yeah, dude, they're loud. These frogs are loud. Yeah. I hear them all night.
So yeah, that kicked us over. I was still fighting the urge to go downstairs. We're not going to do a video this week. And if this works out well, or well enough, I think we'll just try to start doing this from time to time, just to kind of,
change up the scenery
in
a bit.
Any marriage, just switch it up a little bit here.
In any marriage, yeah. Sure. Yeah, a quick little update. I think I mentioned it on the podcast last week, but I definitely have put up something on Patreon. But we were hoping to get some answers on a couple of things last week, and we didn't, which is a bit of a bummer. It's going to be another couple weeks before we get any of those answers, but fingers crossed that it goes the way that we want it to go, and we're just going to try to take the next couple of weeks.
I've spent anytime there's big things that affect your life, at least for me, I always get real sick and anxious, and I've been really trying to be positive about it and think, I think everything, I've thought about it in several different ways, and we'll have more details at a later date, obviously. But it seems like I'm just being positive about it right now, trying to be as much as I can, and then also just coupling that with enjoying the weather that we've been having the last, week or two.
Yeah. I don't remember in Indiana there being this false spring. It just felt like it took a really long time for the weather to be consistent. Mm-hmm. In Indiana, you'll wake up and it'll be cold, but then by the afternoon, it'll be 85 degrees randomly, and then it'll go back to cold. Yeah. But out here, it feels like we'll get this random spurt of a few weeks max of really nice spring weather. and then it almost like falls back into winter for like one more month. And then the spring really comes. And so I think that like, that's what we're getting right now.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's like that, or if I've just finally reached that place that I spoke about a few weeks ago where it was like, hey, if it feels like everything is shit and everybody's having a hard time, like, how do we keep that from taking our joy? And I feel like I've just hit this spot over the last few days where it's like, I'm just so tired of being mad or being, just feeling really like jaded towards situations or people where it's like, I've just been in this season of like expecting the worst and being so upset about it all the time. And I just like don't want to do that anymore. And I think to like your point of talking about how you've been kind of upset or anxious the last bit, when Logan says that he's anxious, it really is like you'll be up lots of times throughout the night. And then before you go into work, you'll like vomit a few times. Like, it's like you are so anxious about whatever thing we're waiting to hear on or whatever plans we're trying to make. And it's like, you get yourself worked up to this space of like, you almost can't help. It's like your body is so flooded with anxiety that you literally have to vomit in the morning. And I'm just like, I felt almost a little frustrated this morning when you felt that, because it was like, you know, I feel like we've just been in this season of hard. And I think because living out here and not having this support, we don't get to have like a real break from like all of the responsibility and all of the hard stuff to try to just like have an afternoon where we can enjoy just like time together without the kids or whatever. And sometimes we'll have time, like a day with the kids, and it's so great and they're in great moods and it's super fun. But a lot of times the kids are kids, and at a certain point, you know, you're just overstimulated. You can't help it. But I'm just like, I'm tired of living in that space of the stuff that we know consistently upsets us, letting it continue to like keep us in this kind of like miserable state, you know? And it's not like I want to say we're miserable all the time, but I feel like we've just been in this season of hard. And I don't want to let things that are out of my control dictate whether or not I'm going to have like a joyful day. I'm just tired of that. I'm tired of feeling that all the time. So I feel like I've tried really hard the last like 3 or 4 days to like wake up and be more intentional with the amount that I'm on my phone. And especially because the weather has been nice, I've just been trying to get like a lot of fucking sun on my face. But I feel like it's been better for all of us. Like the kids are picking up on that. And
yeah, we've been getting out and intentionally walking. I guess damn near every day, right?
yeah.
I mean, at least a little bit.
Yeah.
We've been having that. There's a spot behind the mall that has a lot of nice terrain to it, but it's also like an easy walk for Simon still.
Yeah, I think for anybody that lives in the Pacific Northwest, a lot of these trails that they have, it's like they're insanely beautiful, but they're rocky. And so like I've always been concerned with taking the littles on hikes because I don't want them to literally like trip while they're walking and like fall off a cliff. My favorite hike around here, I am such a nervous wreck on any time we try to take the kids with us because it's just like, it's out across the lake and it's beautiful. But if they would fall like they do because they're little kids, it's like, okay, well, I don't have that kid anymore. You know, like it's scary. So I'm super thankful that we've like found this place that feels like a safe space for all of us to go and get some energy out without me having to worry the entire time. But I think that that's like one of those parts of parenthood that I just really was not fully understanding when I became a parent, of like the amount of things that you think are fine, but then you have a little kid, especially a little kid, and then it's like, oh my God, I have to be so worried about them being little and being off balance or whatever. And it's like, even an example is us trying to have a fire tonight. You know, we're trying to sit around the fire, but our fire pit is kind of on a hill because our entire property is on a hill. And I was so concerned every time that the littles got out of their chair that they were going to like trip and fall into the fire, and then our whole lives would be changed. And it's like just the intense anxiety that comes with parenting. And then I think about the way that like our parents were so much, I don't want it to be like they were like flippant with us, but like my parents were totally fine with me going out into the woods at Oliver's age on their property, like the property I grew up on. Mm-hmm. And I'd be gone for like hours.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Same.
And like, obviously we didn't have like cell phones or anything like that. And so it was like, you know, my parents had 5 acres. So it's not like I was walking miles and miles away. But like, there were absolutely a handful of places on my parents' property that if I would have fallen off of it, I would have gotten really, really, really hurt. Yeah. And it's like they were so fine to like just let me go off and do that. And I feel nervous anytime Oliver wants to go to like the neighbor's house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
yeah. I do remember one time going with my brother through, because when I lived with my mom in the early years, we lived out in Greene County, and it was, you know, nothing but woods. I mean, for miles and miles. And we would cut, you know, dirt bike trails, 4-wheeler trails, all that stuff, like on our property. But we had a good idea of where our property lines were. And I don't remember why, but one day my brother and I just decided we were going to go explore beyond our property line. But like it was a determined, like we had a backpack. From what I remember, like we brought like Pringles, you know, like, and man, we, as a kid, ooh, those are my glasses. It felt like we walked for probably 6 hours, even though I know it was probably like 45 minutes. But
yeah,
I felt like genuinely like almost scared that we were lost, and I had no clue how we would get back. But obviously my brother knew how to get us back. But yeah, I definitely still remember those times as well, of just like being almost the entire day, and my parents being okay with that.
Yeah. Or like I think about you know, Ollie is just kind of like a clumsy kid. I don't know if it's just because Oliver isn't ever like really fully paying attention to what they're doing, or if it's just some people are naturally clumsier than others. But I get nervous about Oliver even like running down the hill, because I'm like, oh, they're going to trip, and then they're going to eat
almost every time.
And then they're going to eat shit and they're going to get hurt. But like, knock on wood, none of our kids have ever even gotten seriously hurt. So I don't know why my anxiety level on it is so high. Or these other parents are like totally fine to put their kids on dirt bikes. And there's like parts of me that feel like I'm almost stealing that from the kids by not letting them get into that stuff, because I know it's super fun. But like, dude, it even took us a long time to teach Ollie how to ride a bike, because I was afraid that Oliver was going to ride out into the road and get hit. Yeah. And it's like,
Ollie has awareness issues too.
Yeah.
I mean, I did too, but
and see, I didn't. I feel like I was adventurous, but also fairly cautious. But like my friend Sarah was absolutely the clumsy one, and she would get hurt like every single Girl Scout trip we went on. She would hurt herself in some way.
Yeah, because I also, I mean, I learned to ride a bike super early.
Oh, I did not.
Oh, you didn't?
I had training wheels on my bike until I was literally probably in like the 3rd grade.
Oh, really?
And I would just ride in circles around my parents' very tiny little patio.
I can remember it now. It was like the tiniest bike, little blue bike that you could get. And I was begging, please take these training wheels off. Mm-hmm. And I did. And I was like jumping off of ramps like that the same day. Like that. I was always that kid for sure. And same thing goes with like the diving board. Like the first time I went out on one, I was doing flips and shit. Like I was very adventurous.
No.
And I am surprised that I would say more Arlo will probably have that than Oliver.
You think Arlo will have more...
Just kind of wild, like, wow, let's do this.
Oh, see, I don't think so.
No, really?
No, I think Arlo's super worried about getting hurt. I think Arlo is so much like me. I finally learned how to ride a bike without training wheels because I knew I was too old to not know how to, and I was embarrassed. And I had my little like neighborhood boyfriend at the time. His dad is the one that actually taught me how to ride a bike without training wheels. But it was at my grandma and grandpa Bates's neighborhood. And there was this very small like hill that was part of the road. And so I like started, towards the bottom of the hill and would go and then middle of the hill and try to like just gain more speed and get more comfortable.
Yeah.
But then like the first time that he set me off from the top of the hill, I rode down and I swear I hit right into his fucking mailbox. Ugh. Like my whole fucking body just into his mailbox. I was so embarrassed. More than it hurt, I just wanted to die that like my little second, third grade boyfriend's dad just watched me eat shit like that. So funny. But like...
No, when I was little, I truly like... I looked up to like Travis Pastrana and I feel like I was a tiny little Travis. Like anything that had a motor or wheels or anything... I wanted to be a part of it. And I think I mentioned it on the show. Like the first time I learned to drive was in Darren's modified race car. Or it was a bomber, but still.
Yeah. No, and then when you and I dated, I mean, you wanted to like...
I did.
Do that little race in Paragon. And I was so mad at you for doing it because I was worried that you were going to get hurt. Like, which is funny because I think about like...
Have I mentioned that on this show? Because if I haven't, have I?
About what?
Doing the mechanics race? As like, how old was I? 15?
Well, you had to have at least been that, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't remember. Well, if I haven't, yeah. It was like my first... I'd always been allowed to drive, our go-karts, four-wheelers, whatever it was. And then Darren would let me drive his race cars behind. He had a shop in Bloomington, and he had a little field behind the shop that was undeveloped. It was like the size of, two buildings, a lot, like two lots together. Mm-hmm. And I could do essentially like a tiny little racetrack in the back, like my own little dirt lot. And so that's where I would, drive, probably shouldn't have, but like customers' cars, like before they were ready, picked up.
Your stepdad truly was the mechanic that people should have like been a little worried about.
But I was just a grease monkey as far as like, well, not as far as working on the cars and whatnot, but
yeah, I wish you knew how to do more stuff on cars.
Yeah, I was always shoved out of the way when it came to the working on the cars because Jeff was 5 years older and he got first crack at like, let's build you your own car and you get to race it or you get to put it in the derby or whatever. And I just had to like wrench, but I wanted so badly to be in them. And my first like real race that I was allowed to take a green on inside of a car and not a cart or a little midget or something like that. It was down in Paragon, and I don't know, there's probably 15 or 18 cars on the track, and I could not get enough. I'm pretty sure I won. If I didn't, it was, second or third or something, but it was really, really fun.
Yeah.
To get out there and just full blast in a actual, full blown race car.
Yeah.
It was scary too, but then you were really mad at me for doing it.
Which is so funny because I feel like I'm almost having this like real life realization that like I've mentioned before that my sister asked me one time when I was in college, like what I stressed about. And I truly was like, I don't even know what that feels like because outside of those like momentary, like, oh fuck, I put off this paper for too long or whatever. It's like my day to day wasn't as stressful. I didn't feel stress in that way. Mm-hmm. But like I think that I have suffered from anxiety for like a lot longer than I thought I had.
Yeah.
And I remember for a long time really like praising my parents for the way that they somehow managed to like put it in my head that if like these were the bad things that could happen if you make bad choices. And if anyone is going to get caught, it's going to be me. Mm-hmm. Or if anyone's going to get pregnant, it's going to be me. Or if anyone's going to get an STD, it'd be me. So like toe the line, know what you're doing, be so fucking for real about the choices you're making, because this bad stuff could happen to people. And if it's going to happen, it'll happen to you.
Yeah.
And so like there were a lot of things that I didn't do or people that I stayed away from. And I thought, at the time, my parents had like planted these little seeds of like, hey, those girls are not up to any fucking good, so you need to stay away from them. But like they did it in a way of not telling me to stay away from them, but definitely letting me know that what those girls were doing was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And so by saying like, hey, those girls are going to get a really bad reputation, it's like, oh, well, I'm hearing, so like you don't want me to have a bad reputation, so I shouldn't hang out with those girls anymore, or I should be like thinking about other stuff, or I should make sure that I'm doing the right thing without them having to like explicitly tell me the right thing. But I think that they almost took it a step too far, because I really felt like if you got in that race, if I knew that like wrecks aren't always bad in those, or like very rarely in a Paragon race is a wreck like really fucking bad. But my thought was, if you went in that race, if there could be a wreck, it would be you. And you would get really hurt. And then I would have to be like sad about that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that has like slowly gotten worse for me the older I get, especially since having the kids. And I think like it's either like postpartum anxiety that like really amped that up, or just that like being responsible for other people has really put me in a place of like, hey, I know that, you know, planes are the safest way to travel, but also sometimes they crash. And if one's going to crash, it could be the one that you're on. Like, I just feel like I am so quick to say like, whatever bad thing could happen, it's going to happen to me. Mm. So for a long time, like I was really nervous. For whatever reason, I don't feel like I was super nervous while I was pregnant, but definitely like after, I was super, super worried about SIDS with all of the kids, to the point where like I did co-sleep. And I know a lot of people say that co-sleeping is, well, if they don't say it, co-sleeping is dangerous. But for me, it was like, no, I'm going to co-sleep, but I'm going to do it as safe as I possibly can, but it's physically so that I can feel them breathing. You know, like I'm going to put myself in a position.
And we did get one of those nice, what were they called? The little thing that goes in the center of the bed that we had.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we did like, yeah.
And then we also had like the little
bassinets or whatever that you sleep with.
Well, those were all, that was off to the side.
Yeah. Docatot.
Yeah.
We had one of those for a bit, but like,
about that.
Which I think technically you shouldn't let your kids sleep for long periods of time in those either.
Well.
But again, like I didn't have them sleep in that until they were old enough that they could like roll over and move themselves around.
Yeah.
For the first handful of months, I would sleep like sitting up. You know, like I was like,
I remember you were just like,
oh, it was awful. And I would be so tired, but it was because I wanted to physically know they were breathing. And in my head, it was like, if they stop breathing, I'm going to recognize that. And it was like,
this would be a good, I think, real quick. When do you think Oliver will stop needing to be sleeping with us?
So, yeah. So with Oliver, we co-slept with Ollie until Ollie turned 5. Well, that was originally, it was like, okay, you're 5. You're going to sleep in your big boy bed. And like, it was in the room that was across from us. And we kept both of our doors open. So Ollie could literally see our bed. We could see Ollie's bed. And it lasted like a few nights, and then Ollie made their way back into our bed. And then we had Arlo, and then it was like, hey, you can't sleep in here because Arlo's a little baby, and we can't co-sleep and have you in here because Ollie is such a fucking mover the whole time they sleep that it's like, there's no way this can work.
Yeah.
And so then Oliver didn't want to sleep in their bed and wanted to sleep on the floor next to our bed. And now 2 babies and another 5 years later, Oliver still wants to sleep on the floor wherever we're sleeping, which 9 times out of 10 right now, we're sleeping on the couch. Like, we have a very big, very comfortable couch, and it's more comfortable for us and the 2 babies to sleep on the couch than to sleep in the bed, unfortunately, right
I wonder
now.
how many families do that. Because I will say, okay, when I grew up, I had a certain type of bedtime sleeping arrangement with my dad and his household. Different, more, I would say, strict bedtime arrangement at my mom's household. And then I feel like you even had a slightly different arrangement. I wonder how many people do have a unique, like, it's kind of a family arrangement.
Yeah.
Versus everybody. Because, yeah, I don't know. Even myself, like, I don't know. Maybe it's the kid in me, or it's some sort of like whatever. But like, I'm cool with having, a communal, like, we all just like fall asleep and we're together. And it's like,
no,
but I don't want to do damage at the same time.
Yeah. Well, when we first moved into this house, we genuinely were like, do we even put beds in the other 2 bedrooms? Or do we literally make like, okay, mom and dad's bed's over here, and then do we put the other beds together opposite from us on the other wall? And literally it's like our room is everyone's bedroom, but then they have their other bedrooms as their like play space.
Yeah, right.
Because we knew that they weren't going to sleep in those rooms, even though all of our bedrooms are very close to each other in this house. But for me, I mean, I had a really strict bedtime, which I think is normal, especially once kids get in school, to have strict bedtimes. We have a bedtime for Oliver because of school, but the littles typically will kind of either fall asleep when we fall asleep, or if they're like really fussy, then we'll put them down when Oliver goes to bed.
Yeah.
And I think that once the littles are in school and like need to have a bedtime because they have a schedule, then I'm hoping that it'll get easier for us to put the 3 kids to sleep together. But like at my house with my parents, the whole time that my sister lived under the same roof with us, for the most part that I remember, and she can correct me if I'm wrong on this, we did sleep in the same bed. Like, she had her own room and I had my own, but there were a lot of nights that we slept together.
Did you guys have different bedtimes?
Well, yeah, because she was 5.5 years older than me. So she always got to go to bed later than me because she was, by the time I can even remember it, she was like a high schooler.
I hated the fact that, I arbitrarily will say like my bedtime was 7:30 and my brother's was 9.
Yeah.
Like, I would try my best to stay up an hour and a half just so I could have the company to fall asleep with.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think that Jen and I's was quite that. I think that hers was probably a full hour after mine. But yeah, for a long time, we would just sleep in the same bed. And then when she went off to college and I was in high school, I had really bad insomnia at that point, which I almost wonder now that we're like talking and thinking about it, if that has anything to do with it.
Right.
I mean, I would lay in bed and stare at the ceiling for literally hours, just like, why the fuck am I not asleep?
Yeah.
And then when my sister moved back home for that last semester of college before she went to Tennessee, we slept in the same bed. So like, I would prefer if all of the kids would sleep in the same bed together or in the same room together. So that I wouldn't have to have the 2 littles on me all the time. But I
would
also
love to have a period of their lives where they do have like a big area they can share together, like the three ninjas, you know? Like,
Yeah. Well, yeah.
really
I mean, I think that like
that memory.
We've even talked about with this house, like, what if we combine their bedrooms in a way of like one of the bedrooms is all beds and the other is their secondary little hangout space. And then, yeah, like, let's just literally cover the floor in mattresses. You know, like, I don't fucking care. But I just, right now, the littles still just, like, really want to lay with me. Yeah. And there's a part of me that, while I would love to have my own space back, or I would love to not have to, like, fucking try to sneak off with you if we ever want to actually be, like, fucking husband and wife for a hot minute.
Hello.
Like, there are so many times where I will roll over and just like stare at their little faces. And I'm like, they're only going to want to do this for so long. Like, this is such a fleeting moment. And I know for a fact, if I would let Oliver would be right up next to me too. There's just not enough room. Yeah. I would let Ollie up on the couch with us. There's just not enough room.
I had to yell at Oliver. Yeah, this morning. Well, not yell, but like, hey, Oliver, you can't literally sleep in all the space where my feet are when I get up in the middle of the night when the lights are off, because I don't know where to step.
And that's what I mean. Like, there's a part of it that's so sweet because Oliver will fall asleep a solid 10 feet away from the couch. Like, we make a bed on the floor and Oliver will fall asleep way over there. And then at some point in the middle of the night, Oliver will wake up and move to be directly next to the couch. Like, Ollie knows there's not enough room on the couch for them to get up on there, but Ollie will be as close to the couch as physically possible. So yeah, like, we'll fucking accidentally step on them or trip over them or whatever. But there's this part of me that's like, dude, we literally only get to have them for so long. And Ollie...
That's why I don't really fight
I know Ollie's not going to do this shit when they're fucking 14, okay? Like, that's not... And Ollie's close to that age now. So it's like, I really genuinely think like we only have a couple more years before Ollie is going to want all the privacy they can get in their own room. So there's a part of me that just doesn't feel like it's hurting anything. And and I feel, there's a part of me that like feels good that Oliver feels so safe. It's very specifically right next to us.
Right.
But there is the other like, there's a part of me that just wants to be like, God, but sometimes I just want to sleep by myself. Yeah. Like, the thought of going to a hotel room by myself is so exciting.
We just get a dual bedroom and we both can spread eagle.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, it might be what I asked for Mother's Day this year. I think I hinted at it last year.
Yeah.
But like, genuinely, I want to stay at a hotel by myself. I want to draw those blackout curtains as soon as I walk in the door, and I want to lay in the bed, and I don't want to get out of it. I want to sleep. I want to have room service delivered. I want to have, like, maybe take a bath, but like maybe not, because sometimes hotel bathtubs are like gross to me. But like, I just want to like starfish on a bed and have... The last time I went and visited my parents when my grandpa died, I was telling you, like, I got to their house, and when it was time to go to bed, I fell asleep super early, but I fell asleep and then I genuinely did not move a muscle until I woke up the next morning. Yeah. And I can't even remember the last time that happened where I fell asleep and I was truly like a fucking rock. I didn't twitch. I didn't roll over. Like,
those are the good ones.
My fucking hands were exactly where they were when I fell asleep. I was so tired.
My favorite is like when I have the permission to fall asleep in your parents' chair next to the fire.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
The permission is in me not asking you to help with the kids.
Yeah, I know I'm not going to be like, hey, Logan. It's like that. When I'm sitting down and I'm trying to like get my eyes down, that's the worst thing I get. Hey, Logan, like, what?
Yeah. Well, don't worry. You answer exactly like that. And I know that you don't want to be bothered. But yeah. So I don't know. I just am trying to like, soak it up as much as I can.
Yeah, as long as I don't think, hopefully we're not doing anything detrimental.
Worst case scenario to me, they just never want to leave the house. And ultimately, I'm okay with that too.
I think, it just comes down, like you said, it comes down to me where, say they're, 25, 30 years old, and they're looking back and be like, why did you let us do that? And like you said, it would feel good to be able to say, hey, is it so wrong that we made you guys feel comfortable enough to want to be all together? And that was your comfort? Like, that's something that I would have loved to have it been a normal thing to like sleep in the living room with my family.
Yeah.
On a regular basis, or in the bedroom, wherever. But it be like, tight knit enough to where we all felt comfortable catching Z's together.
Yeah. Well, I think too, like if we want to take any sort of personal responsibility on it, we've moved a lot.
Yeah.
Like we've moved basically on average every single year since we graduated high school.
Moved a lot.
And so there's also, like the longest that Oliver has ever had a bedroom is like, I don't even think it's been 2 years. I think it's been about 18 months before we've moved. And so it's like, it makes sense to me that Ollie and the littles, but especially Ollie, would feel the most comfortable sleeping wherever we're sleeping, because every bedroom is new, and like, we typically don't stay anywhere long enough for Oliver to like, Ollie's got posters on the walls and shit like that, but like, we don't really.
We try to make up for that by having, at least the common thing you can look forward to is knowing no matter where we are, you get to be with your unit. And that's why I haven't really pushed the issue too much, because that is an upside we can give the kids in the moving them around a bunch. Is that, hey, no matter where it is, this is a consistent thing. Right?
Consistently keep a couple of things in boxes all the time. No, I don't know. I think
we all consistently can still sleep together.
Yeah. Well,
that's what I'm saying.
I do feel like I've felt like this the last few places we've lived, where it's like, God, dude, I just want to unpack everything. Or like, I just want to paint the way that I want to paint. And I want to know that it's just going to like be like that. Mm-hmm. Or I want to let Ollie pick a color for the bedroom that they have. Because I remember when my parents let me paint my room. Mm-hmm. Or, it's like, I hate feeling like for the first 10 years of Ollie's life, we kind of stripped that.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that the next, 7 or 8 that we get to have with Ollie before they decide to either go to college, or maybe I would love for Ollie to stick around until they don't want to be here anymore, I guess. I don't know.
I don't think we'll have like any, 30 or 40-year-olds living with us.
Who knows? We might, with the way that our fucking, with how hard it is for people to survive right now, it might really truly become a thing where people like
culturally it's cool to live.
Yeah, like you just see more people living in like multifamily households where it's just.
No, we've talked about it a little bit here and there, and obviously now with Oliver being in double digits, the conversations need to be more frequent. But yeah, I mean, college is it's an interesting conversation that we've had over the years that has ebbed and flowed as far as like what we think the plan would be. I mean, ultimately, if the kids, all of them, if they want to go to college, we'll make that happen. But there is this sense of college is so increasingly unattainable as far as how fucking. You just told me the other day when I looked up like what. Even just where we went to school, what tuition was now. And I literally about threw up. I was like, I was going to shoot over the fence and go, and I was still like half what you told me. I was so like, holy shit.
Yeah.
But anyway, that aside, yeah, I'm hopeful that if it isn't straight up like university, then maybe we could look at a trade school or something like that. And if it's not something like that, then it could be, who knows? I mean, the entrepreneurial way of doing things these days, you never fucking know in the next 8 years, for Oliver at least, 8 to 10, what that looks like. And so I also, we have a lot of years to still be talking about this, but I'd be curious to know, if our kids decide, hey, I'm going to go the college route, or I want to start my own thing, And
I just feel like for millennials, it was so pounded into our heads that like, you have to go to college, you have to figure it out. And like, you see it, the majority of our generation is strapped down with these college loans that are like impossible to pay off. And at this point now, it's like bachelor degrees don't even really like set you apart from anybody else.
I remember talking about this idea of academic inflation when I was going to school and being worried about it then. And it's so sad to be like in a world where that is realized. Like, where like, a bachelor's degree doesn't really mean that much anymore.
Well, and I really think unless our kids are so certain of what they want to be when they grow up, I just really think that like we should, rather than push for them to immediately go to college, I think it's like, hey, take the next 2 or 3 years and like work a job and know what that's like to have to work and see how much comes out for your taxes and see how to try to like learn how to budget. And while you're doing that, if you don't want to live at home anymore, I understand it. But if you do want to still live at home, then like we can set up a system where you're still trying to learn how to budget and pay rent, but just know that like the money you pay us for rent is just going to go back into an account that you get to have when you want to move out. And then you can use that money to like buy a house if you want to, or use it to pay for your apartment for however long. Like, I don't want to take money from the kids and keep it. Like, we'll give it back. But like, figure it out before you then go to college. Because I went to school right out of high school because that was the expectation. And so I had no idea what I actually wanted to do. And so I picked something that I felt like was a safe choice and something I could always find work in. But in reality, like, it's not a job that would actually ever work for me financially. And so it's like, I hate that my parents worked so hard to save the money to send me to school for a piece of paper that I genuinely don't think I'll ever use. Like, that sucks. That makes me feel really bad. But I didn't have any other thought. And once you start college, like, you can change your major, but then that adds more time. And my parents were already strapped for that, It's like, I accidentally took racquetball too many times. And so I had to, it was essentially like, hey, if you don't take a couple of summer classes, you're not going to get your degree in time. And my parents were like, hey, Kate, we budgeted for this much money. So you fucked around and now you're going to work for the summer and you're going to pay for those classes. And so then I had to do that, which was the fucking worst. I hated that. But it's like, I just had no business being in college at that point to begin with, because I didn't know what I wanted to do.
I'm super thankful that I chose to go to the business school and I got a marketing degree, because I thought very early, because I wanted to do either music at the Jacob School or art of some kind. And I was like, I don't know, man. Like, I'll just go to the business school. I'll get a very like blanket degree, which thankfully a degree from the Kelly School is worth something. Still. I don't know, but I agree. Like, I had no fucking clue what I wanted to do. I still don't, like, I don't know if humans ever really know. So especially when you're 18 and you're just fresh out, you're like, I'm so eager to do anything. I don't know. I'll be curious to see what path the kids decide to take, because I also want to be, because I know, I started my business when I was junior, and I basically put every damn penny I had into that thing, and but had I had another little extra, maybe a little angel funding available, I probably could have done a lot bigger things quicker. And so that's where I say, like, if our kids have any sort of entrepreneurial ambition like I did, we would have an opportunity to help them, take their own path too. Because that's what I rolled the dice on myself. So
yeah,
I don't know. We're still fucking figuring it out.
Thankful we still have some time to figure it out.
Yeah.
It feels like, I don't know. I'm sure the next 7 years will go really quickly for us, but
oh my gosh.
But right now that feels like far enough away that I don't have to worry about it yet. So to check off a few other worries first. But I don't know. I just am feeling a little bummed that we don't have like a resolution that we thought we were going to have. But hopefully we can just continue to ride it out, and we can be in a better headspace and try to enjoy the sunshine for a bit. Even though I think that we have a week of clouds coming up. So tomorrow's the last sunny day. So we're going to do our best to soak that up for a bit. But yeah.
Okay.
Hoping if anybody else is going through some stuff, just try to focus on the stuff that you have control over. And even if the only thing you have control over is your current headspace, do whatever you can do to find some joy. If it's putting the sun on your face, if it's walking around a store that you like, even if you don't want to buy anything or can't buy anything, it's like sometimes just scratching that little joy itch in whatever way you can. Because if there's nothing that you can do to fix the shitty thing right then, try to take that fucking pressure off of yourself, because it's just really hard when you're in a season of shit. It's hard to not drown in it. And I feel like we've been just like drowning for a bit, and I don't want to anymore. I'm just like tired of living like that. Yeah. So, but yeah, hopefully this audio sounds okay. And if not, Logan will try to clean it up a bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to sound, obviously, it's just my iPhone sitting on my dash in my truck. So it's not nice microphones and all that. But
any of the noises you hear is Logan's little ADHD clamoring over there. He can't just sit still. But
I'll still put an audio treatment. I'll try to clean it up and get rid of some air. Yeah, we'll be all right. And we'll go in and watch some Seventh Heaven. I do think before we close out, or after we close out, but before you stop recording, we should open the door so everybody can hear the frogs. Oh, okay.
Because they're so loud right now. But yeah, if you have a story you'd like to send in, you can do that at mylife@brokennouthclub.com. If you're not in the Facebook group, hop on in there. It's just Broken Youth Club on Facebook. We still have the hotline number if you want to call that. And yeah, we're super happy you guys are still here, sticking around with us, 30-ish episodes in. And yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I will say bye. You can say bye, and then we'll say bye from the frogs.
Yeah. Okay. Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.